All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Um, my name is Vivian Fu, and I'm from WWF-Hong Kong and the lead to the Wetlands for Asian Flyways initiative. Um, Thank you and welcome for joining this webinar for celebrating the World Migratory Bird Days, World Mangrove Day, which will be happening on the 26th of July, which is this coming weekend. And I'm happy to be the moderator for this webinar and co-moderating with Ms. Minjae Park from EAAFP Secretariat, and she will be the moderator for the Q&A session at the afterwards. Yay, thanks, Belle. And joining us, there are supporter and our team from the EAAFP to run this webinar. But we are also very honored to collaborate this webinar with the EAAFP Secretariat and the ASEAN Centre for Biodiversity, National Parks Board Singapore, and we have invited three honorable colleagues and speakers from the ASEAN Flyway Network. So just briefly introduce them. They are Ms. Syifa Wiranti from Ministry of Forestry, Indonesia, Mr. Patthapee Prathoomwon from Bangpu Nature Education Center of Thailand, Ms. Khwankhao Sinhasen from Bird Conservation Society of Thailand. So we are very happy for them to join us as speakers and to share with us their work on managing the important flyway sites in mangrove habitats in the East Asian-Australasian Flyway. We are also very grateful to have the sponsorship for the projects aligned with this webinar from the Asia-Pacific Network for Global Change Research. Before we start, there are a few housekeeping notes. So first of all, please stay unmuted during the presentation, but you can turn on your webcam so that we can see you joining us. And second, please leave your questions to the speakers in the chat box, and we will have a Q&A session at the end of all the presentations. And lastly, this webinar is recorded. So just to let you know, if you or your friends missed this webinar, you can also enjoy the recording later on from the EAAFP YouTube channel. So now let us officially open this webinar. And we are honored to have invited Ms. Jennifer George, Chief Executive of the East Asian-Australasian Flyway Partnership, to give us an opening remarks. So, Belle, over to you. Unfortunately, Jennifer cannot join the live webinar today, but she kindly shared with us a recording. So, Belle, over to you. Thanks.
I have a confession. 10 years ago, when I was still based in New Zealand, mangroves were not really part of my world. And if I'm honest, I did not properly value them or tidal flats. To the untrained eye, mangroves can look really strange, muddy, tangled, dark, sometimes almost sinister, like something out of a science fiction movie. They don't always give us the easy beauty of a forest or a mountain or a coral reef. But what a difference a decade makes. Because once you begin to understand mangroves, I stopped seeing mud and roots and I started to see life, protection, connection, and extraordinary design. What is there to love? Well, there is the courage of a tree that grows where the land and sea are always arguing. There's the beauty of roots that look chaotic, but are actually holding the coast together. And there's the quiet generosity of a place that feeds fish, shelters the crabs, stores carbon, protects villages, and welcomes the birds without asking for any attention. There is a miracle of a forest that breathes with the tide. But today I do not think we need only to speak about the value of mangroves. Well, we all know their value. We know how they protect the coastlines and they store carbon, and they support fisheries, the nurseries, and sustain livelihoods and provide habitats for extraordinary biodiversity. But we also know the crisis. We know that mangroves, tidal flats, and coastal wetlands are being lost, degraded, fragmented across our region. And in many cases, we also know what is needed. The question now is action. What do we do? How do we do it? How do we move from awareness to implementation? How do we support the people and the institution working in the places where mangroves, mudflats, birds and the communities meet? Well, that's where regional cooperation becomes so important. One of our roles as the East Asian-Australasian Flyway Partnership is as a Ramsar regional initiative. So what does this mean? It means that we support the goals of the Convention of Wetlands in our region. But our particular role is to connect wetlands through the migration of our birds. Migratory water birds show us that a mangrove forest in one country, a tidal flat in another, and a roosting or a feeding site somewhere far away are not separate places. They are part of one living system. And for these birds, ecological connectivity is not an abstract policy idea like it is for us. It's the condition of survival. So they depend on chains of healthy wetlands, mangroves, mudflats, estuaries, rivers, tidal flats, and shallow coastal waters, as we know, to feed, rest, roost, and to gain strength again as they move onward. So the EAAFP provides a regional cooperation framework that helps keep that chain intact. We're bringing together the governments, the site managers, scientists, civil societies, and the local communities and international partners, all of them together to support practical implementation of migratory water birds and their habitats across our flyway. Just like this meeting, people are part of this system. Our livelihoods and our cultures, our safety and futures are connected to these wetlands. We're not separate from nature. We are not the centre of the story. We are one part of a larger living system that needs our care and respect and our action. So here in this meeting, you're going to hear from Bangpu Nature Education Centre in Thailand. That is one of our newest EAAFP Flyway Network sites. And so it's now also recognised as a Ramsar site. It's a powerful example because it sits within one of Southeast Asia's most urbanised coastal landscapes, yet it still holds space for mangroves, for the mudflats, migratory birds and people, together. So you also hear from Indonesia, where mangrove, wetland and water bird conservation come together across a large, complex coastal system. And then you're going to hear from the Bird Conservation Society of Thailand, and they bring their experience from places where birds and people share a home. These are the examples we need now. Not only why mangroves matter, but how conservation can happen in real places with real pressures and real communities. Let's learn from them. Let's look again at the roots, the mud, the tide, and the birds. And then let us ask the most important question. What is the action that we will take next?
Wow, thank you, Jennifer, for the beautiful opening remarks. Moving on, we are also honored to have an opening remarks from Ms. Syifa Yang, Chair of the ASEAN Flyway Network, and Director of Songhai Bullock Wetland Reserve, National Parks Board, Singapore. And also, Ms. Syifa Yang cannot join us live in the webinar, so she shared with us a recording for her remarks. Again, thanks, Belle.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone online. Although I'm unable to join you in person today, I'm delighted to welcome you through this recorded message. First of all, a very warm welcome to everyone joining us for this special webinar in celebration of World Mangrove Day. It is my pleasure to welcome you as Chair of the ASEAN Flyway Network, and on behalf of Songhai Bullock Wetland Reserve Singapore, one of the sister wetlands of Migratory Nature Reserve managed by WWF-Hong Kong. First, my sincere thanks to WWF-Hong Kong for hosting this webinar and the 2 regional workshops at Migratory earlier this year. I would also like to thank our partners, the ASEAN Centre for Biodiversity, the East Asian-Australasian Flyway Partnership, the Asia-Pacific Network for Global Change Research, and the many experts and organizations including IUCN, the Ramsar Regional Centre East Asia, the Paulson Institute, the University of Hong Kong, and others who so generously shared their knowledge and experience. Today is a fitting occasion for us to come together. World Mangrove Day reminds us that mangroves are far more than coastal forests. Together with mudflats and other coastal wetlands, they provide vital habitats for biodiversity, protect our coastlines, strengthen climate resilience, and support the migratory waterbirds that connect our countries along the East Asian-Australasian Flyway. The State of the World's Mangroves 2024 reminds us that Southeast Asia is home to nearly 1/3 of the world's mangroves, underscoring our shared responsibility to conserve these remarkable ecosystems. Earlier this year, many of us came together at Maipo to learn from the experts and, just as importantly, from each other. Now, back at our own wetlands, the learning continues as we apply those ideas to our own local context. And through these 2 webinars, we have the opportunity to reconnect, to reflect on that journey, and to share these experiences with the wider Flyway community. My sincere thanks to Ms. Syifa Wiranti from Indonesia's Ministry of Forestry, Mr. Patthapee Prathoomwon from Bangpu Education Centre, and Ms. Khwankhao Sinhasen from the Bird Conservation Society of Thailand. My apologies for my weak Bahasa in Thai. Thank you for taking time from your conservation work to so generously share your experiences with all of us today. Finally, thank you to each and every one of you for joining us on the seminar and for the work that you continue to do at your own wetlands, often quietly and behind the scenes. Thank you for your resilience and your generosity in sharing your experiences with every one of us. Every wetland has its own story. By sharing these stories, we all learn a little more, encourage one another across the Flyway, and continue to find better ways to care for our wetlands and the biodiversity they support. So thank you, and I wish everyone a meaningful and enjoyable webinar.
Great, thank you, Syifa. And I think all of you may be little eager or cannot wait for the sharing of our stories. So moving on to our first speaker, talking about mangrove in the world, I think Indonesia won't be missed as it hosts one of the world's largest mangrove ecosystem in the world. So we are very honored to have Ms. Syifa Wiranti, Technical Policy Analyst, Directorate of Ecosystem Restoration and Preservation Area Development of the Ministry of Forestry of Indonesia, to share with us. And Syifa, your presentation topic will be on mangroves, wetlands, and water birds, an integrated approach to conservation in Indonesia. So she will give us a couple of case studies and the policy and all kind of work relating to mangrove conservation in Indonesia. So Syifa, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. I also would like to thank Belle from the EAAFP for sharing my screen. So, hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Syifa Wiranti. You can call me Syifa. I am a technical policy analyst from the Directorate of Ecosystem Restoration and Preservation Area Development, Ministry of Forestry, Republic of Indonesia. For the next 15 minutes, I would like to share our integrated approach to conserving mangroves, wetlands, and waterbirds across the Indonesian archipelago. But first of all, I would like to thank the organizer team, especially WWF, EAAFP, ACB, APN, and all other partners for giving me the opportunity to celebrate the World Mangrove Day with all of you today. And I would like to start with the fundamentals. Why do mangrove matter so much? So mangrove are unique, salt-tolerant trees and shrubs that thrive in the intertidal zones and of tropical and subtropical coastlines. They bridge the land and the sea, creating one of the most productive ecosystems on Earth. And why are they so vital? There are 4 key reasons. The first one is because they store blue carbon. Mangroves are extraordinary carbon sinks. They trap and store carbon in their dense root systems and deep soils at rates up to 4 times higher than terrestrial tropical forests, making them indispensable in climate change mitigation. Next, they protect coastlines by reducing wave energy, coastal erosion, and storm impacts, protecting vulnerable coastal communities. And third, they support biodiversity by providing critical habitat, breeding grounds, and nurseries for diverse wildlife. And last but not least, they sustain coastal communities by supporting fisheries, livelihoods, and food security, including nature-based tourism or ecotourism. Now, why Indonesia matters? To put it simply, Indonesia is the world's mangrove powerhouse, spread across our vast archipelago of over 17,000 islands. Indonesia harbors 3.45 million hectares of mangrove forests. That represents roughly 23% of the entire world's total mangrove forest coverage. Okay, on the left side is the global distribution of mangroves. If we zoom into Indonesia on the right side, this is what 3.45 million hectares of mangrove actually looks like. But this isn't simply a national pride, because with every single hectare we successfully restore, and with every single hectare we lose, it directly influences biodiversity, fisheries, carbon storage, and coastal resilience far beyond our border. However, mangroves are only one component of a larger wetland ecosystem. The main takeaway here is simple. Wetlands are deeply interconnected ecosystems. Water, nutrient, fish, sediments, and migratory species, they move fluidly between rivers, peatlands, mangroves, and coral reefs. So if you pollute the upstream river, the downstream mangroves suffer. If you clear the mangroves, the coastal coral reefs choke on sediment. Therefore, effective conservation cannot focus on isolated sites alone. We must move toward protecting interconnected wetland systems. So, wetlands connect us far beyond national borders. They are global highways for nature. Every year, millions of migratory shorebirds fly thousands of kilometers between the Arctic and Australasia. To survive this epic journey, they rely on a network of connected wetlands, including Indonesia's coastal mudflats and mangroves, to rest and fuel. If just one critical wetland site along this path is destroyed, these birds lose their refueling station and simply cannot complete their journey. Protecting local wetlands isn't just a national duty, it is a global necessity. Now, who depends on wetlands? So it isn't just migratory shorebirds that rely on these coastal networks. An incredible variety of species call these connected habitats home, including saltwater crocodile, Bornean orangutan, and stork-billed kingfisher, proboscis monkey, yellow-billed stork, and thousands of migratory birds in Sembilang National Park. And none of these species depend solely on mangrove alone. They rely on the entire unbroken continuum of peat, forest, river, and mudflat ecosystem. So, to preserve these connected landscapes, Indonesia has designated key wetlands under international and national protection frameworks. Today, we have 8 globally registered Ramsar sites covering over 1.37 million hectares. We also host key flyway network sites such as Sembilang and Wasur National Park. And we also have 2 cities accredited as Ramsar City under the Ramsar Convention, and that is Surabaya City and Tanjung Jabung Timur Regency. And together, these designations ensure that our most critical coastal and inland ecosystems remain protected under internationally recognized standards. Now I'm zooming in our key mangrove-dominated Ramsar sites, and we see critical strongholds distributed across the country. So we have Sembilang National Park in South Sumatra and Wasur National Park in South Papua that protect massive mangrove ecosystem and international waterbird population. We also have Rawa Pawatumohai National Park in Southeast Sulawesi and Menipo Nature Recreational Park in East Nusa Tenggara that safeguard vital estuarine habitats while directly supporting local community and livelihoods. And right in Jakarta Bay, Pulau Rambut serves as an essential urban sanctuary for coastal biodiversity. And together, these 5 sites showcase how Indonesia protects diverse coastal landscape from west to east. And beyond Ramsar sites, Indonesia's formal protection network covers over 26.8 million hectares across our islands. Crucially, this is a comprehensive national framework that integrates both terrestrial and marine ecosystems, ensuring we protect entire ecological corridors rather than isolated wetland patches alone. And Indonesia is also pioneering draft projections for areal preservasi, aligning with OECM or other effective area-based conservation measures. And our goal is to achieve effective long-term biodiversity conservation outside the formal protected area system. Areal preservasi provides a policy mechanism to identify landscapes and seascapes to make significant contributions to biodiversity conservation while continuing to support sustainable economic, social, and cultural activities. So to put this into action, Indonesia relies on 4 core pillars. On this slide, I have highlighted just a few key examples of our broader national strategy. First is landscape-based planning. For instance, our national strategy for wetland ecosystem management, especially for peat and mangroves, and also National Action Plan for mangrove and seagrass, it manage connected system rather than isolated habitats. For the protection and restoration, we have formal protected areas and areal preservation framework, and also a large-scale mangrove and peat rehabilitation across priority provinces. Under our science-based decision-making pillar, our primary anchor is the official national mangrove map, developed collaboratively with scientists and geospatial agencies under Indonesia One Map policy. This dataset provides the single authoritative baseline for spatial planning, regular monitoring, and targeting restoration, where it is ecologically most effective. And for collaborative governance, we believe that no single institution can do this alone. So we work through multi-stakeholder partnerships, uniting local communities, government agencies, universities, NGOs, and global partners. And these represent just a snapshot of the comprehensive actions Indonesia is taking across the nation. So to see how this works in practice, I would like to highlight a case study in Pantai Cemara in Tanjung Jabung Timur Regency in Jambi Province, spanning over 2,200 hectares adjacent to Berbak National Park. Pantai Cemara connects coastal mangroves, mudflats, and beach forests. And despite its modest size, it plays an outsized role on the global stage. Field monitoring with partners like WCS has recorded tens of thousands of migratory shorebirds using this site as a crucial stopover, including globally threatened species like Nordmann's greenshank, the Asian dowitcher, and the bar-tailed godwit. And in terms of governance, the governor of Jambi officially designated it as an essential ecosystem area in 2019. Today, it is managed through a multi-stakeholder forum that brings together government agencies, researchers, NGOs, and local communities under an integrated zoning plan. And building on that management framework, this slide shows what conservation looks like on the ground. We have long-term monitoring of migratory birds, habitat protection and mangrove management, community engagement, and promotion as birdwatching destination. Also, at the national level, these efforts are further supported through cross-sector coordination mechanism, including the National Committee for the Conservation of Migratory Birds and Their Habitats, which bring together relevant ministries and other stakeholders across Indonesia. So Pantai Cemara demonstrated that conserving mangrove landscape also conserve international migratory flyways, strengthen local livelihoods, and builds collaborative governance across sectors. So to bring all of these national efforts into a global context, I would like to highlight Indonesia's leadership in launching the World Mangrove Centre, or WMC. So WMC is established as an inclusive international collaborative platform hosted by Indonesia. It serves as a bridge connecting governments, researchers, civil society, local communities, and the private sector to coordinate and advance sustainable mangrove management globally. While the WMC is officially hosted in Indonesia, it is intentionally designed as a decentralized dynamic network of global partnerships. This structure allows us to work directly where action is needed most across different tropical regions. And our ultimate vision is simple yet critical, a world where mangrove ecosystems are healthy, resilient, and fully valued for generations to come. To achieve this, WMC operates across five key strategic pillars. There is science and innovation, partnerships, South-South cooperation, sustainable finance, and capacity building. So, healthy mangroves cannot exist without healthy upstream and downstream ecosystems. By taking an integrated approach, connecting forests, wetlands, mangroves, and international flyways, we create a resilient coast and a sustainable future. Thank you so much for your time and attention. You can see my contact information on the screen if you'd like to reach out directly. And before turning the floor to Vivian, I would like to cite a pantun or a poem. Mangrove flourish by the sea, sheltering life from shore to shore. Together, we shape their legacy for today, tomorrow, and evermore. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Syifa, for the comprehensive sharing of the work from Indonesia and the great poem that you were sharing as well. I'm sure people may have lots of questions, but please also hold them, or like you can jot it down and you can place them in the chat box at the toolbar underneath so that we can raise it to Syifa later on. So yeah, please leave your questions to in the chat box. Next, we are going to have going to Thailand, and we are going to have Mr. Patthapee Prathoomwon from the Bangpu Nature Education Center of Thailand to share with us his presentation on Bangpu. Where is it? What is it? What we do. So over to you, Pat.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So let me share my screen first. Okay, everyone see my screen right now, right? Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Patthapee Prathoomwon, but you can call me just Pat. It's very excited to be here with all of you today, and I think First of all, I would like to say thank you again with the EAAFP team and the WWF-Hong Kong team, my Nature Education, and all the partner organizations who organizing wetland management workshop and make this second webinar possible. And I also very grateful for this opportunity to be the one of speaker here today. And as we celebrate on the Mangrove World Day, yeah, I think this good opportunity to introduce you to know more about Bangpu. Yeah, Bangpu is special mangrove forest in Thailand. Yeah, some of you might see the webinar poster, right? And that picture is the Bangpu so much, as you can see on this picture here. You can see the full of the shorebirds and some of the water birds. And I also work, I'm come from FIT Thailand, the small NGO in Thailand, and we also work with the Royal Thai Army here, who the one of take responsibility in this place at Bangpu. And big thanks to Toyota Motor Thailand, who continuous support FIT Thailand in the conservation activity and education activity. So that I say this is the good opportunity to discover about Bangpu, like Bangpu, where is it, what is it, and what do we do at Bangpu. So we should start with Bangpu, where is it. Of course, is in Thailand. As you can see, we are on the Bay of Bangkok, upper Gulf of Thailand, as Smut Prakan province is really close to Bangkok, just 1 hour. It's easy to reaching us. And you can see the Bangpu Nature Education Center here. I will call this BNEC. And some of you might notice around of BNEC is like a city, the building, and the industrial. It make us is the first urban NEC in Thailand. And over here, you can see this. This is the mouth of the river. It's the one of the important river in the Thailand is the Chao Phraya River. And over here, this is a Bapakong River. It's another important river in Thailand also. So we will zoom in and take a look closer a little bit. This is for us. This picture, you can see more clearly about the city and the building and the industrials around the BNEC here. And look, this is about the boundaries. Yep, I use some different color to represent by each habitat. And the first we look about the green line and the orange line. Within this area, this around 198 hectares. This site is ASEAN Heritage Park site or AHP and EAAFP site. And if we including about the blue line here, this is Ramsar site. Yeah. And we going back about the color. Yeah. About the orange color, this I represent by mudflat. This is the most area within this area, and the next one is the green one is mango forest, and the smallest one just 2% at the Bangpu. This is Bangpu so much, as you can see on the first slide. So about biodiversity, yeah, at the Bangpu we have the many wildlife and some mangrove tree. Before I start with the wildlife, I have to tell you something about the meaning of Bangpu. You know, in Thai, Pu is meaning like a crabs, and the Bangpu is meaning the place that you can find many crabs here. Yeah. So I start with the male crab here, a male feeder crabs that you can found them around the mudflat at the Bangpu and the mango forest. And about the birds, also is a water bird. You can see the godwit bird here. And not just water bird and shorebird, we also have the autumn migratory birds. So look about plant or mangrove tree at the Bangpu. So we will record about 70 species of the flora at Bangpu, and one of the most common tree at Bangpu is Western marina, as you can see in this picture. Western marina, the shape of the leaf is look like a little bit low and a little bit curved. And if you look across to behind in this picture, we can see the mango forest here and so much habitat here, and some berry about the painted stork and some of the egret birds here. And this one is one of the most popular bird hive. This is a Sakura bird high. Yep. And yeah, that I told you, we will record about 300 species of bird at the Bangpu, and most of them is the migratory birds like Asian paradise flycatcher, back-necked monarch bird, and the blue-winged pizza birds. Yep. So as I told you on the last slide, we was recognized by AHP side, Ramsar side, and EAAFP number 157. And you can see the small Thailand here. And yes, we are on in Flyway, but in Thailand we have the otter bird didn't use this Flyway. It's very famous for Thai people, and that bird is the brown-headed gulls. Yep, I will call them BHG. And some of you might thinking about this species. It's just common species or it's just noisy birds. Yeah, I'm thinking about that too. And BHG, they come from the Tibetan plateau, and some of them visit at the Bangpu. Yep. This picture I got from the tracking by satellite of the BHG. Yep. Some of them visit at the Bangpu every year in the winter season, around 5,000 to 8,000 individuals at Bangpu. So that's why Thai people loving them. Thai people, when Thai people visit at the Bangpu, they easy to find this bird, and sometimes they feeding them, sometimes they take a photo with them. But for me, I think different. For me, we still have older bird and important bird, migratory birds, yeah, for this place. And the bird is black-tailed godwit. Yeah, some of you might know about the bar-tailed godwit as well. At the Bangpu, we have some small group about the bar-tailed godwit, but black-tailed godwit we found at the Bangpu around 2,000 or 3,000 individuals. Yep. And we also found the ultra rare species of bird at the Bangpu, like a back-faced spoonbill. And you know, when I joined the workshop on January at Hong Kong, my pro-nature education, I found around 10 or 20 backfaced spoonbill over there. And when I back to Thailand and back to my place, on February, I found one backfaced spoonbill. And you know, in the fact, I go back to checking about the first record about this species in eBird. Yeah, in the first record was on 1989, and the second time on the 2076. It took almost 40 years to see this bird again. Maybe they follow me from my post and come at the Bangpu. And so what do we do at Bangpu? Yeah, and some of you might have the question, what's meaning of Feed Thailand? Yeah, the Feed Thailand come from the Foundation for Environmental Education Sustainable Development Thailand. And yes, we do SIPA activity, and one of the SIPA activity is environmental education. I will call it EE. Yeah. Before I will show you how do we running our programs, I have to take you going back around 20 years ago at the starting point. Yep, we start with the WWF Thailand and work with the Royal Thai Army with a partner. And we make a Bangpu Nature Education Project. And yes, we module on WWF Hong Kong. And then we become to Feed Thailand. And our programs, about our program, we focusing about the children, the school, the youth. They can learn the nature by their hand. Yep. And we use our resources like the mangrove forest, mud flat, and the salt marsh to be the outdoor classroom. Yeah. And when the children come here, they can learn the nature by sometimes they can touch the nature, they can looking out to the nature, and sometimes they can taste the nature. And you can see on this picture, the kindergarten, they catch the aerial roots, and some of them can use the binocular to check it out about the bird. And our big brother, they're looking about the leaf from the Abyssinia marina. Yep. And when they learn about nature by their hand, sometimes they can start the question in their mind, why this root come from above, and why that bird they had a blue feather and different from the other birds, and why this leaf tastes like a little bit salty. Yeah, when they know when they have a question and they will try to get the answer. Yeah, we will help them to get the answer, and when they know the answer, they will know the value of the nature of the mangrove ecosystem. And when they know the value of ecosystem, they can start thinking about how we can protect the nature, how we can conserve the mangrove ecosystem. And we also provide this activity and volunteer activity at the Bangpu, not just the school, but the company that really want to come to help the nature, come to help the mangrove ecosystem, like coast gear removal. And some of you might have a question, what is goat gear? Goat gear is like some tool by fisheries. Yeah, when the fishery, they fishing the fish by the nest, by the rope, by the rod, and some of them may be lost into the river, into the sea. That and some of them can be harm about the nature, about the marine life, like a whale, like a fish, something like that. And you can see on this picture, like this guy, they try to cutting out the post gear that tie on the mangrove trees. And about the marine waste also, many companies they come with us and help beach clean up at the Bangpu. They get collecting a rubbish here. And this activity is mangrove planting. In the past, we provide this mangrove planting activity. As you can see, the mangrove forest on this side in this picture. Along the way, 100% from it is come from this activity, come from the tree plant activity. Yep. And on the 3 or 4 years ago, we decided to stop this activity. Yeah. And I have to show you about the mudflats. You know, not just mangrove forest is important, and the mudflat is important also. You can see the many birds use this area, like a painted stork, they are feeding. Some of the egret, they are resting, feeding, and some of plover over here. And after I introduce you to know about the Bangpu, where is it, what is it, and what do we do at the Bangpu, today I think this is a good opportunity to share you to know about our challenges. Yeah, what the challenges that we're facing now. So I would like to start with the loss of mudflat. This our first challenges, and especially the main reason by mangrove trees planting. You know, as I told you on the last slide, we decided to stop this activity to set an example to the companies. You know, many companies, they have a good intention to do the green activity, and they really want to help the nature, support conservation. And some company, they have some understanding a little bit. Yeah, maybe they're thinking with all the tree planting activity, more tree planting is always the best. Yeah, but it's quite not right. Yeah, especially in this area like a mudflat area. You can see on this picture in the past, just only mudflat, no any trees. Yep. And when they plant the tea over here, the bird can landing on this land anymore. And the bird can feeding this animal, can resting here anymore. And you know, this picture was taken beside the bird high. So this bird high can use anymore. The children can use this bird high for bird watching anymore. Yeah. So that's why we stop this activity to set an example to let the many companies to know about this activity. And we try to develop also program, CSR program to provide for many companies like marine waste. Yeah, this is one more challenges for us. You know, as I told you about, we are very close to mouth of Chapaya River. Yeah, and when the tide rises, they're floating the rubbish at the Bangpu. As you can see on this picture, this is some area of Bangpu. Yeah, when the marine waste come here and then will trap on the mangrove forest, you know, because the mangrove forest have special roots like a pencil roots, like a pop roots. Yeah, and the rubbish can stuck around here. And it's a good thing because this marine waste can going back to the sea, can going back to the ocean. So we reduce the risk about this marine waste can impact with the marine life, but it's the negative side is the about beautiful of this area, and marine waste can disrupt about the mangrove tree, disrupt about muskeeper and the crabs also. So we develop our programs to the marine waste program, as you can see in this picture. Yeah, you can see the children. Actually, it's not just the children, not just school, but many companies they come at the Bangpu and collecting the rubbish here. But this picture not main point that we focus. We focus about understanding. Yeah, we focus about their understanding. If they understanding about where the rubbish come from, where the marine waste come from. Yeah, when they know about that, they can reduce rubbish. They can reduce marine waste at the starting point. That's we focus. And I think this is the all last challenges today is about the animal release. You know, in Thai, most of Thai people, they have the belief about animal release activity is the way of making merit. And they pray about good health, good luck, or something. Yeah. And you know, at the Bangpu, every day you can see the people come visit at the Bangpu to release the mud crab. The mud crab is one of most common that they release at the Bangpu. You can see the small group of crabs into the titan of mud crab. And this activity start on the January, I think. Yeah, and before that, they released about the 6 ton at the Bangpu. And we really concerned about it, you know, because we don't know this crab come from. We don't know this crab alien species or native species because the mud crab is difficult to identify. But we try to give them information and try to offer the older way to making a merit. And I think this challenge is very difficult more than other challenges, you know. It's not about just misunderstanding, but it just relate with belief in Thailand. So that's why it's difficult. So all of this is Bangpu. Yeah. On the World Mangrove Day, I hope my presentation help you know more about Bangpu and get you understand about our challenges and know how do we can conserve the nature, how do we can protect the mangrove ecosystem. So thank you again for listening, and we really hope to welcome all of you at the Bangpu in someday.
Great, thank you, Pat. That's a really good presentation. I myself have been to the Bangpu Nature Education Center before, and I was really astonished by the number of birds there. Thanks also sharing that like how your challenges, how you manage the sites, and it's kind of also replied one of the question in the chat box about the balance between planting mangrove and for migratory birds for the mudflat. Thanks. And maybe for the audience, if you have more questions, please leave them in the chat box. And then it's coming to our last presenter, also coming from Thailand, and we will have Miss Khwankhao Sinhasen, or Kim Min, from Executive Director of the Bird Conservation Society of Thailand, BCST. And Kim Min, the presentation topic is on Patthapee Lake Nature Reserve as home of migratory birds and humans. Over to you, Kim Min.
Thank you so much, Vivian. I hope everyone can hear me very well. If very good, can you
Very
just send me
Good.
some icon like heart, smile, anything to make I feel very happy. And I hope like to motivate this room more and like more engaging with everyone. And now I already show my slide. I hope everyone can see that too. So for us, like I just want to present about our study in Patthapee Nature Reserve. This one is like a kind of the unique site in Thailand. I will explain to you more and why. Let me introduce a little bit about our organization. For our BCST, in short, and the full name is the Bird Conservation Society of Thailand. Since in the past, we was a kind of the bird watching club in Thailand, and we just transform ourselves to be the conservation NGO. And then we can say like we are the one of the oldest national NGO in Thailand. For us, it's more about we thought bird is a lovely icon of the conservation and the nature. That's why we would love to use the bird as a kind of the blue ambassador to connect people to the nature. And moreover, we try to keep collect the data to develop conservation project and raise more awareness on this society by the information of the bird. That's why for our organization, we focus on the species, about the size. And one of the highlight sites today that I want to focus is about Patthapee Nature Reserve. And also we try to say more for ourselves. It's very small organization. The one is very important is try to make more friends on the collaboration with different agents. And also if we can, we would like to do the knowledge sharing between all of the partners like BCST and Bangpu and also other partners as well. And the last, we also have like some of the kind of the education and outreach program. Why birds is important in Thailand? Because one thing that I want to share to you today, in the world, from the last record, they say it's more than 10,000 bird species around the world. But Thailand itself, the last record for us, I mean last year, is more than 1,000 bird species. That's why this is turned to be like a kind of the highlight information. And also in different habitat type, also have different type of bird. And that's why bird can connect people to the nature. For our side, I would like to be more specific that we're gonna talk more about Pak Tale. For us, Pak is mean mouth and the river. Like some people, they call like this is like kind of the river mouth. And also Tale is mean sea. The location of our project is in the red spot that we call Pak Tale in Phetchaburi province. This is not too far from the feed side of Bangpu. We like a kind of quite close to each other. And also our side is a part of the East Asian-Australasian Flyway to connect between about like 22 countries together. And for us, once I want to focus about this, the thing that I would like to say how important of this site is a place of the people still living in this site to do the traditional salt production. And this salt production system that we call salt pond turned to be a kind of the great habitat for many shorebird species. Once we keep record this kind of the data, BCST have an initiative like, okay, it's time. We no need to thinking about like if we have to protect some land for biodiversity, have to be only the lead by government. In fact, NGO or other people can take a lead and can do something for biodiversity and the conservation. That's why the thing that we try to do since 5 years ago, more than that, in fact, a little bit, we try to do the crowdfunding and also we get some support from the Rainforest Trust that we can get some amount of the money to purchase the land of the salt farming. And we would like to keep this land to be a kind of the nature reserve to protect biodiversity. And I can say this is like a kind of the first top 3 in Thailand that is a kind of the area managed by non-government agent. How is the area look like? It looks like this. It's like a different pond. And the technique that people in the past, since more than 100 years doing is like they direct the seawater in different ponds and use the solar energy to evaporate the water and then they can get the products. But not only about the traditional knowledge, it turned to be like this system, very high value for the bird as their rooting site or foraging site for many shorebird species. To prove that, we have like a kind of the 3 things that we try to do at Patthapee. The first, we try to do the habitat management and for the many challenging things as well, but I just want to share with you what we try to do and what is quite work and what is not really work as well. So for us, for the habitat management, we still keep use the same pattern that the local knowledge try to do, direct the seawater in different places, use very simple technique, and it's quite turned to be like abandoned salt pan, turned to be like a kind of the semi-natural habitat mudflat that it sounds look quite nice that you can see before and after. But the thing is very interesting. You can see something look like a knife in my map, like the yellow line, and this is the land that we purchased for the protected the bird. But another thing that you can see from this map, something 0 to 1 and 2 and 3 up to 8, that is almost in the sea. That's why we have a huge problem about the coastal erosion. That's why the thing that we try to work with the local government and also the national government is try to develop the system to protect the coastal erosion. That's why we use the bamboo fence about 4 kilometers along the coastal line. But I just want to say, it's not really efficiency enough. That's why we still try to explore different things. But the thing that we can show, like once we protect the land, we cannot work alone. We need more friends to do the work together. The second one is more about the shorebird survey. We would like to understand about the diversity of the bird and also what type of the habitat that they like and they really use. This is like a kind of our long-term data. Don't be shocked yet that you can see many bar graphs and too colorful. The thing that I just want to highlight is like this is a long-term data since 2020 up to now. Majority of the bird there is the migratory species. Moreover, we try to group it from the IUCN status, and about at least 30% is the critically endangered species. Endangered species include vulnerable species. That's why it really shows how important of Patthapee. This is show like in different spot that we collect the data. Some spot is like a kind of the foraging site, and some spot is a kind of the roosting site. From those bar graphs, make things more simple. It means like this is the land and the home of the bird, especially the shorebird, more than 10,000 birds per year, and almost up to 70 bird species. And this is my friends. My friend is mean like many birds that visit our site, and the queen of the site is the spoonbill sandpiper. That's why this is like a kind of the regular site that you can see from this map. Patthapee is like a kind of the highest record of the spoonbill sandpiper visit every year. Moreover, we try to learn what exactly this bird eat. That's why we have a kind of the list of the bentos that is very important for this shorebird. Once I know like this very important, the thing that we try to do is try to develop a kind of the bird height. We design this look like a kind of the Japanese hut. But of course, we still challenge other things I will share with you more later. But the thing that we try to say is like we try to develop Patthapee to be the nature reserve and also a place that people can visit and can do the bird watching and can learn more about the soul practice by the local knowledge. And so that's why this is a kind of the center that we work with the local government. I cannot say that is the best, but this is like a kind of the achievement that we make it happen, not only by BCSC, but we work with other people. The last one is very good and very important component for the site management. It's more about like how to develop the local livelihood based on the thing that they already have and collaborate with other stakeholders. As I say, the highlight of this land is more about the salt. The thing that we try to do is like, we know they can sell the salt, but how we can try to add the value of the product. We try to use the salt to make a bigger achievement. We gathering with many people in the village, and then we try to make a kind of the bird products. And that's why all of these products named by the bird. We're not really thinking about to produce the product. We would like to use the product to communicate more about the bird and also about our land. And this we continue working with the school and also with the women group in Patthapee to produce this product. Moreover, we still try to work more with the government. And in the end, that's why the Department of the Marine and Coastal Resources, in short the MCR, also collaborate with us and try to expand the land that we manage together. When I say the manage, it's not only about the salt pan, it's also about the mangrove area as well. Moreover, we try to engage people under the idea of the Syifa to do the program that we call Young Shorebird Ambassador. let me sum up a bit. For this thing that we really try to do is very tiny land. We feel like this is a kind of the first shorebird conservation center in Thailand that do on by the government, non-government agent to do this and work with the people. The second thing that I want to share, each year, the minimum that people visit us during 4 months of the year on the migratory season is up to 1,000 people. And also this is the first time that we try to form the group, develop the management plan, and also we try to encourage them to have their own local bird club that they can lead the tour of the birding by themselves. And also we try to promote the product. And of course, because of this product, it's quite help the women group to get some additional income that they produce the salt based on their knowledge. And this is like kind of our story. Now, I would like to thank everyone. This project is not just by myself. Have a lot of people to get involved with this. And this is like a kind of our mission. We expect like we not really just want to protect the bird. We also would like to empower the people to make sure like human and bird can be coexistent. And this is my contact detail. Please keep in touch if you want to talk more and discuss. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Kenan, for the very precise presentation. And I myself also have been to Patthapee Lake before and looking for the spoonie. So that's, I'm sure it's one of the highlights. There are already some good questions and discussion relating to mangrove and mudflat or migratory birds. So I think we can open the floor for questions, and I will leave this or hand over this section to Minjae for moderating the Q&A session. So thanks, Minjae.
Thank you, Vivian, and thank you. I'm Minjae Baek, Communications Officers at the EAAFP Secretariat, and thank you for all the comments you guys are now remaining and writing on the chat box. Yes, so we have some already key questions, and as Vivian briefly covered on the question from Mr. Bin Dao Kok. So there is some question about the mudflat is more important than mangroves, and it seems like we should plant new mangroves or keep mudflats. It's really important question, and we also have quite similar questions following Mr. Bin's question. So I think this excellent question. We can all the speakers have the example and more detailed stories on the management and the maintenance of the mangrove habitats. So I especially Kim Im also mentioned they manage the sarpan and also mangroves together. So I would like to ask Kim Im first for give more detailed answer to Mr. Bin's question. And also if anyone from Indonesia, Syifa, and Pat from Bangpu Nature Reserve, if you want to chip in more and add more details, please do so. Thank you.
Let me share with you like this first. Normally, it depends on the group of the wildlife that we want to protect. Let's start from this. Because like in mangrove itself also provide the habitat for some type of the wildlife and of course some bird as well, right? But in the function of the salt marsh and also the salt pan, it also provides some function or some type of the bird and also some other type of the life too. So it depends on what is our target, how we would like to manage the site, and what is the purpose of this site to protect what is this species. But in general, I can say this, if we keep more different type of the ecosystem, we can conserve more of biodiversities because different type of the animal prefer something different. So that's why I think we have to get back what is the original idea of our site. For example, like for our site, we would like to protect the shorebird, but doesn't mean like I want to clear all the mangrove. I also want to keep some type of the natural mangrove to be on the site. I also want to have some function of the salt mud and also want to keep some function of the salt pan. So that's why this is my answer. But if you ask me another thing, like, should we really try to plant some mangrove to do the restoration? That it can be another answer. So I feel maybe Pat would like to share something. But as I'm an ecologist, if we keep different type of the habitat, we can maximize the biodiversity.
Thank you, Kimim. Thank you. I hope this answer really covers and comprehensive answer on your question, Mr. Bin. And if Syifa, Pat, if you want to add more like detail or more like, yes, Syifa, please go ahead.
Thank you, Minjae. Also, thank you, Mr. Bin, for your question. And I don't see it as a choice between mangroves and mudflats. I think both ecosystems are important and they serve different ecological functions. So while mangrove provide coastal protection, carbon storage, etc., as I mentioned on my presentation before, mudflats are also essential feeding grounds for many shorebirds and migratory birds. And I think the key principle is to conserve or restore the right ecosystem in the right place. We should restore the mangrove, the degraded mangrove, where mangroves naturally belong, but we should not plant mangroves on healthy natural mudflats. I think that's my answer to Mr. Bin's question.
Thank you, Syifa. Yes, thank you so much. And Pat, I saw your hands up.
Yeah, thank you for the questions, Mr. Bin. About my vision, I don't think mudflats are more important than mangrove forest, but both ecosystems are equally important and they support each other. So it's not a choice between mangrove and mudflat. So we need to conserve both together. This is my vision.
Thank you so much, Pat. Yes. So we have a very important and prioritized, I think, value for the conservation. And following the question is from Mr. Chairman Lim, and he is asking especially from the perspective of the blue carbon sink. So his question is, as blue carbon sink like mangrove forest is getting more attention globally, how can shorebirds conservationists convince this public that it's more important to conservation of mudflats than planting more mangroves? And is there a much higher value in terms of overall biodiversity conservation and economy in conserving mudflats? So I think now we need add more spices on and perspective from the economics and also financial values on the conservation of the mangroves and habitats and also ecosystem. So I think all our speakers and including the MC Vivian, we can please feel free to answer on this question. It's very general and open question. Yes, Syifa, please.
Thank you, Vivian. Minjae, sorry. So for Chairman Lim, thank you for the question. And blue carbon is an important ecosystem service, and it has created new opportunities for climate financing. However, I think ecosystem value should not be measured by carbon storage alone. And mudflats support internationally important migratory birds, also fisheries productivity, nutrient cycling, and the overall functioning of coastal ecosystems. And I think conservation decision should therefore consider the full range of ecosystem services rather than a single benefits. And our goal, I think, is not to maximize the mangrove area, but to maximize the ecosystem integrity, including conserving the mudflats.
Thank you so much, Syifa. Yeah, especially I record from your presentation, the national strategy from Indonesia also try to think about the connectivity. I think it also kind of address the importance of thinking about carbon, the blue carbon sink initiatives as well. Thank you. And Kimim, yes, go ahead, please.
I just want to support Syifa. I totally agree with that. And one more thing that I just want to add a little bit on the top is in fact, the mudflat itself also have a kind of the function that can absorb the carbon too. But mostly people a little bit overlook on that. People prefer to do something is like planting something that you can absorb the carbon. But exactly that I want to share. In fact, in terms of the ecosystem service, of course, we have to trade off what exactly that we want to highlight and what is the purpose of each site. For example, why I say this, because in mudflat can conserve in terms of biodiversity, but it's also like can be a function of the people on fishery. That is also another side of the finance and also about economic incentive as well. So I quite agree with that, and I feel like maybe other people want to add more on that, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kim. And Vivian, Pat, yes, if you want to add more, please do. Vivian.
Great. Yeah, I think it's a really good discussion here, and I also echo and agree with what Syifa and Kimin said. Just a really quick comment is relatively the carbon market has been established for quite some time, and recently there is more discussion on financing for biodiversity, which is relatively new to the whole world, and I really encourage everyone to work more and to do more studies and trial or testing at sites. And we now have at least 2 sites in Thailand that is good for the testing. Of course, Maipo as well. Yeah, but if more and more people will try to include biodiversity in the innovation of financing for biodiversity, there will be more benefit we gain on discussing or including biodiversity into discussion on the nature financing issues. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Vivian. Now, all right. And then I think we can move on to the next question from the floor. So it's from Mr. Joshua. So the migratory birds can become a resident bird in the area if the resources, for example, food or the nest materials is available and present. So I think we need some insight from the ornithology and ecology field. So I would like to invite Kimi and Pat for discussion.
Let me share with you like this because we have like kind of the long-term data monitoring on the bird who visit Patthapee. And anyway, recently we find out like some of the migratory species, I just say some, tend to stay longer in our site. But we have to confirm this a little bit longer, like from the migratory turn to be like kind of the residential species. And I think maybe Vivian can add on this as well. And we also have some other species, like from the long-term data record. Before there was a migratory species, but they turn to be like a kind of stay permanent in Thailand. It's like a kind of the resort for them, full of food and full of the safety place. But I cannot share here what is that species, but yes, also have some evidence on that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kim, for your answer from your observations. And if Pat, if you have also case from your observation from Bangpu Nature Reserve, that would be appreciated.
Yeah. About at our side, we never see the migratory bird become to resident bird. Yeah. Even we saw some the escape bird with here. Yeah, and they escaped some the cage, some the with the exotic pet. Yeah, and the last time we found not at the Bangpu but around the Bangpu about the Raja duck. Yeah, and many of the birds they have the very interesting about them, but this is not the migratory bird at the Bangpu, but they just escape from the cage. Yeah, but for me, I never see the migratory bird come to resident bird at the Bangpu.
Thank you so much, Pat, the case from the Bangpu. And now we also have a couple of more questions from Sinhasen. So the question is, could you please share what other key factors cause the loss of mudflat rather than by mangrove planting or erosion? So maybe we need more additional thought from the other factors surrounding the ecosystem as a one organic system. So I would like to give this question to all our speakers and of course MC Vivian. Yes, if you are ready, please go first from any of speakers.
Let me add on that first, and then if anyone want to share, more than happy. For us, another challenge beyond the coastal erosion and reforestation. Another one is about the land conversion. When I say about the land conversion, because mostly the mudflat is along the coastal line. It's not only mudflat; it's include about the mangrove, and this is turned to be a kind of the high potential economic site that it can convert to be a kind of something to attract the tourism, and also it can be related about some kind of the big industrial along the way. So that's why this is a kind of the other threat that change the mudflat turn to be another type of the landscape.
Thank you, Kim. And additionally, I also want to add the climate crisis, climate change in itself is also a great factor that cause the loss of mudflat or the huge changes on the environment in itself. So, and yes, Vivian, please.
Adding on that, so I think for environmental long-term monitoring, we also pay attention to invasive species. Because sometimes it could be mangrove, but it can be a invasive mangrove species, which is really happening. And if they are growing fast, then it's also covering large piece of mudflat. So either it's herb or it's a grass or it's a mangrove or whatever type of vegetation. I think invasive species could be another threat to our mangrove and the mudflat system. Thanks.
Thank you, Vivian. It recalls the Spartina issue in Yellow Sea area. So yeah, we are also as a stopover side of the EAAF Flyway. So the China and Korea, and those Yellow Sea area are having the invasion from the Spartina, the grass species, and which really caused the reduction of the tidal flat area. Okay, then shall we move to the next question, or Pat or Syifa? Right. So the next question is from Sombo Kim. So as the discussion goes to Pat, so thank you for your great presentation. And we are seeing many private companies shift their focus from CSR to ESG. Have you noticed this trend in your work? And are you experiencing different demands or approaches from the private sectors, or is it largely the same as before?
Okay.
Yes.
To be honest, we have not seen the big change yet at the Bangpu. Many companies still join the activity that very similar to traditional CSR programs. And however, we are starting to hear more about the ESG, and we expect this trend to become the more important in the future.
Thank you so much, Pat. And I hope, we can move to the next question from Xining Shan, yes, to Kimim. So the question is, how is it for your project finding the balance between protecting biodiversity and sustaining people livelihood? What are key challenges and lessons learned from better balance? Yes, please, Kimim, the floor is.
Thank you so much. For us, we feel it's very interesting because when I say it's interesting, because mostly it's very hard to find the balance. I just want to be honest. That's why at the beginning for us, we are more on focus on conservation, especially to protect biodiversities. But the thing that we realize, even how much we protect, if we not really get the community engagement, it's going to be very hard. If people still suffer, if people not really have enough food to sustain themselves, that's why for us, we try to shift the direction and balance this one. One thing that we feel is very important is like we have a lot of section about the stakeholder engagement that we try to learn from the community, what they think, and also we not really thinking like we learn from them, we also want to share from them. How is the thing that themselves maybe not see as a great potential on tourism, for example, about the shorebird. For them, they've seen this bird since they were young, but they not really understand like why this bird is very important. In the past, they keep saying like there's so many people come with a big big spotting scope and a big camera, but they're not really sure what is that. So that's why for our role as the NGO, we would like to be the connector to communicate between two sides, conservation way, and try to raise the voice of the community, how they want to manage their own resources. And once they want to manage, it's not just only to preserve, but it's also how to use and sustain itself. That's why this is the thing that we learn. But I can say we still learn along the way because once everything changed, the time changed, we also have a new lesson.
Thank you so much, Kim. Actually, I was also wondered about these questions and how can we have to manage any conflicts between the different, perspective and values, especially since we are all working together with different stakeholders. Thank you. And now we have another question from Nantapat. So the question is, do the shorebirds or other species in mudflat or mangroves ever attempt to adapt their lifestyle in response to human activity? This is very interesting question and related to the behavior of animals. And I think I want to open discussion to all of our speakers as well, because we all have different, experience from the field. So if anyone who are ready to answer, please, raise your hand.
Maybe
I think
you share with us a bit.
yes.
Because I'm quite sure like from different side, maybe have a different experience. Like from my side, I feel like for this habitat that the thing that I learned, mostly the shorebird not really scare on the farmer who do the salt farming. That is very interesting for me. But when they have some strangers, so they're a little bit scared of that. I think birds also try to learn something about like the human. Do they really embedded to them? But also another thing that I can see is like, but if they feel not safe, their pattern, they will move to different point. Because I can say in the landscape of Patthapee is still very huge. And I can say it's like a kind of in a countryside. That's why people still quite live peacefully with the nature. But the thing that I can see is very clear. Some of a kind of the big industrial ones that set up close to this type of the habitat. And maybe it's like some oil leaking, the air pollution. Some of the species tend to escape from that site. That's why the long-term data of monitoring is very important. That's why we cannot just like jump to say like, oh, bird just escape. That's why we would like to compare the pattern. How is the bird habitat and the preferences change?
Thank you, Kimi. Maybe I can slightly add my experience from the tidal flood in Korea. So whenever I also did monitoring of shorebirds and the seabirds, I also figured out the interesting kind of behavior from birds. So whenever the local community, the fishermen or the family groups who are resident from that area approached or came close to the birds, they really didn't care seriously. But also, whenever there are a group of tourists, of course, they because they are less caring the birds, and they are more focusing on making some of the photo or the activity from the tidal flood. So on that kind of activity, that obviously lead the avoidance from the birds toward that group. So I can tell, yeah, the birds also try to see and understand how they communicate with and how they see the people's activity. And this is not a case of the tide of life, but also during the wintering survey, because we also have some of case of hunting. So when the geese and ducks, when they see the car driving very slowly, they also detect those kind of the human behavior as a like kind of suspicious and hunters. Then they try to really move to another places. So I think those kind of behavior shows the adaptation of birds. And I see the pets raise up, hands up.
Yes. For the question from another part, we not seen any shorebird they change or they adaptive their lifestyle, but at the Bangpu we have some good example with the BHG, the bird that very famous in Thai people, like my team answer on the chat box. So as I told you, the Thai people loving them because sometimes they come at the bamboo and feeding them, right? And when they're feeding them, and the BSG will come closer every year, come closer and come closer, and they can take a picture with them easy. And sometimes in the visitor they try to catch the BSG, and that's not good. And sometimes when they ride a motorcycle, they can crash on the BSG. Yeah, this is some example at the Bangpu.
All right, thank you so much, Pat. And I think we have another question from Robert. I can think of a few examples. Oh yeah, he shared the experience. The brown-headed girl returned to Bangpu for food, and otters sometimes learn to get food from humans. Similarly, Brahmins kites. Yeah, that's very also interesting case. And from Bangpu. Yeah, Pat. All right, and I want to ask to the floor if you have any additional question. Before we close the webinar, I want to just gently remind everyone to leave the questions on the chat box or raise your hand. Okay, I think we covered most of questions from the floor, so I want to return the floor to Vivian. Thank you.
Thank you, Minjae, for moderating, and thanks for all the speakers for answering the questions, and the audience too for bringing really interesting and insightful questions and discussion to this webinar. I also think about more during the sessions, and so. To conclude quickly, that there is no definite answer whether it's good for having mangrove or mudflat, because it can be complementary to each other. And for conserving our flyways, we are not only looking at the birds and the mangrove or the habitats, we also look into livelihood and the community and the people using this habitats and the areas. So maybe you have marked the email address of our speaker. So if you have more questions, you can always reach to them or to the EAAFP or to us that we can deliver your question to them. So again, thank you again for all the speakers for bringing this inspiring webinar today. And thank you everyone for joining us. We will later on upload this webinar recording to the EAAFP YouTube channel, so you can also share the recording to your friends. Thank you for joining, and happy World Mangrove Day.